Hey, what's up, guys? It's cooling off. It's gonna go down in 40s tonight. Crickets are chirping, trying to get a date. And a couple of days, it's gonna be Halloween. And I figured this would be a good time to talk about some Halloween memories I had. When I was a little kid, man, I loved Halloween. One of the earliest memories of Halloween I have is actually being at a party. Yes, was probably all of 3 or 4 years old. My mother took me to a party, and it was in the basement. I had done a video of where I grew up, the garden apartments, which are a step up from like housing projects, relatively cheap housing. And in the basements, people weren't allowed in the basements, but people just went down there all the time. So there was a party in the basement of the garden apartment, and they actually had a tub full of water with apples. Okay, this is Brooklyn, New York. Okay, in a heavily, it was actually more of a Jewish area than a Italian area, which was over the Parkway nearby. But everybody was having a Halloween party. I remember my neighbors, the two guys, the brothers, they were dressed up as Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley from Kiss. I guess that fits, but I remember being freaked out, and I was like, my mother dressed me up as a hobo that Halloween, and she did it again a couple of years later. I always remember that. I have a really good memory, but I remember being in the basement, and people were, I don't know if they were drinking or not, but it was fun. I was a little tight, and I was enjoying I knew that there was something different. People were dressing up, right? It was like weird. It's like, wow, what the hell is this? Right? So then, a couple of years later, it was, I know what it was. It was 1981. I was I had a single mother, right? My mother was divorced. Actually, she divorced twice. And she dressed me up as a hobo again. Apparently, she wanted me to be like James and my buddy James, for real, as a little boy. And we went trick or treating. I remember she made a cake for me. It was a devil's food cake with the vanilla frosting, and she put all the little candy corns and candy pumpkins. And they used to have the old candy corn where they used to have like little witches and skull heads and bats and stuff like that. Those were really cool. You don't see them anymore though. They only have the candy corn and the candy pumpkins now. But and she made a cake, and I remember too, it was Saturday. 1981, Halloween was on a Saturday, and I know that because I remember watching on Channel 5, the drive-in movie, The Kid with the Golden Arm, the Shaw Brothers movie with the Deadly Venom dudes. It was such a violent movie. It was really cool though. The dude was invulnerable from weapons, and the other guy was the drunk dude that was pretending to be drunk. But anyway, so we went out trick-or-treating, and I was always shy. You can imagine, I was a shy kid. I was afraid to approach the doors. And so I remember going down, what street was that? Hubbard Street, right by Avenue Z. And we went to the door, and I should have known. This old Jewish lady came out. She was not happy with me bothering her. She was shrieking at me. And my mother was telling her to calm her ass down. My mother I seen my mother go at it with people. Definitely a willful woman. But I remember that Halloween. And now, so as time went on, though, I started to see how much chaos was going on around me with the older kids. Right? So another memory I have was I was hanging out one night with a bunch of ragamuffins. We got into an egg fight, and I don't know where I got my hands on some eggs, but at some point, we were throwing eggs at cars, which is always really bad. Somebody actually down the block from us got beat up really bad by a teenager who got out of his car after he threw an egg at his car, which he saw. I mean, to be frank, I think he deserved that too. Back then, I don't know if you were a kid and you mess with a older kid or even a guy in his 20s, they would just beat you up. Yeah. Thought we got into an egg fight. I remember someone got hit in the eye with the egg. They had to go to the hospital nearby, and I got hit too. I had a little scar for a while on my face from that, but whatever. So now, another story. It was now '84. I mean, it was the same year Ghostbusters came out, and so now things were changing a little bit. Things were getting really rough in general. There were like gangs, and I was kind of like a bookish kid. I was a kid that was like, people would pick on me, and I would, uh, I had no one to help me. See, I didn't have cousins. The thing is that a lot of people had cousins and brothers. I had nothing. I had a brother that was gone. I won't mention why, but I was by myself, and I had no family in the area. My mother was not from Brooklyn. My mother was from Pennsylvania. My family was in Pennsylvania. So I was by myself dealing with bad kids who had larger cousins and brothers to help them and threaten you with. Anyway, so one night, I remember we had a lot of Asians in the neighborhood already, and so I remember these are people. I was friends with their nephew. And so I was walking around. I don't know why I was trick or treating. It was '84. I forgot how old I was, but the parents thought I was trustworthy, so they wanted me to take their two little twin Chinese daughters. I know how that sounds, but we're little kids, all right. And they were really small. They were like little, and this goes to show you how it was. Like, this was after dark in Brooklyn, walking around. But they wanted me to escort the little girls, up and down the block just to see what it was like to trick or treat. So these two little Chinese girls, they were twins. It was, they had the short cut hair. They used to do my fiance, she had short cut hair too at that age. Something the Chinese did. I don't know why. And so, we were trick or treating. I wasn't even wearing a costume. And then we ran into three bad kids who I was very familiar with. I'll just say two of them were named Joey and one was named Kevin. Okay? And they were throwing eggs and causing trouble, and they saw me and the little girls, and they ran up to us. They grabbed me and started, roughing me up a little bit, and I was kind of telling them, like, I remember saying, like, there's like three of you, like, why don't you come at me one at a time? But I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of intimidated, to say the least. The two little Chinese girls were petrified. They were frozen. And what do these sons of bitches do? They see that, and each of them grabs an egg and smacked it on the top of their heads. So the egg yolk is all over their head, and these little Chinese girls are crying and shrieking. So something inside me snapped, and I rushed them. And 3 against 1 didn't turn out too well. I ended up on the floor, getting kicked and stomped, and then having a whole shitload of eggs smashed into my face and my head. And then they ran off laughing. So I got up, the little girls were still crying, so I took them back to their parents, who then proceeded to yell and scream at me and blame me for this thing, and slamming the door in my face. I went home. Okay, my mother wasn't home from work yet, and she was the only parent I had that I lived with. She came home and saw me. I looked like Don King. I had all this egg yolk in my hair, with my hair sticking up. She was ready to go outside and start hunting people down. This is my mother. Okay, God bless her. She wanted to kill these fucking guys. She actually went to the father of one of the guys later, and she really tore him up in front of people, verbally, right? And I heard about it later when the kid threatened me about it. But it was a long ongoing thing. But that was a memory I have of that. And they in school. We went to I went to public school, so they were there. And they were laughing at me, and they said they were gonna get me again, and this and that. And I just kept saying, there's three of you. Come at me one at a time, But it's just anyway. Hey, you know what? It was a good thing. You should be taught the way of the world. Okay, that's how the world really is. So it was good. It was a good education. I'll leave it at that. And you know what? I need another video. A little friend here, with a wisp in the night. Let's do part 2. It's that time of year, right?